Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second ever virtual Bacon Conference, Bacon 2021. Over the next couple of days, we're going to have a lot of really exciting things to share with you. You'll also notice that we've got a few improvements over last year's Bacon Conference. So all of you are joining us today in a new conference platform that we're using this year called Whova. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to explore that platform and get familiar with it prior to this session. And I'm here to welcome you. My name is Dustin Adkison. I'm the managing partner here at PMsquare. And I'm going to walk you through some logistics for the day before we get into the meat of the conference. So to kick things off, we've got 3 different tracks that we're going to be looking at for this conference. Today we've got strategy, which will be really approaches that are more theoretical around how do we approach data and analytics in the real world, in your environments, in each of your companies. And then we have execution, which is more about putting hands to keyboards. How do we actually implement those things that we come up with during our strategy? And then our final track for today is our focal point, which is going to be a series of really looking at modern data and analytics, best practices, modern techniques. Tomorrow, we're going to have 2 separate enablement tracks, really, again, giving you a chance to be hands-on and actually do some training with the tools that we'll be talking about. And we'll also continue with our focal track for tomorrow as well. Before we move any further, I really want to thank the people who made today possible. So I want to thank specifically the 3 points within the PMsquare team, Michael Hovar, Pat Koziel, and Leslie Potter. The 3 of them were instrumental in making today possible. They put hundreds and hundreds of hours into planning for today to make this event as successful as possible, and hopefully you all are able to see that today. I also don't want to miss an opportunity to thank our wonderful sponsors as well. So we've got IBM and Incorda as our platinum sponsors. So IBM again and Incorda for the first year, which we're excited to see. We also want to thank our sponsor, Ingram Micro. And then not listed here, but providing a lot of really valuable content over the next few days, I'd like to thank the team at AWS as well. Speaking of these sponsors have provided a lot of really cool giveaways for the next 2 days. So there are 17 different prizes that can be won. There are going to be 15 raffles based on the sessions attended. There's going to be an Ibm Grand Prize, and then we've provided an overall Bacon Grand Prize as well. These things are pretty awesome gifts, or pretty awesome door prizes, if you ask me. You can see these if you go to the Home app, and we'll be announcing winners for these tomorrow morning for all of the day 1 session prizes. And then after the conference, we'll be announcing the grand prizes and then the overall Bacon Grand Prize. So the IBM Grand Prize I want to call out is a very cool Yeti backpack cooler. The way to win this, the way to have an opportunity to win this, is by having an entry. So for every IBM session that you attend, you're going to have an opportunity to have an entry. So 1 entry per session. Again, there are details for this on the homepage as well, and this winner will be announced after the end of the event. And then our grand prize that will also be announced after the event is an indoor-outdoor theater kit. So if you've ever wanted to enjoy some of these nice days outside, set up a really cool speaker system, a screen, be able to watch a movie outside in your backyard, or bring it inside and put it inside somewhere to enjoy. For this grand prize, there's going to be 1 entry for anyone who fills out the post-event survey. So everyone is eligible. All you have to do is fill out the survey, let us know what you thought of the conference this year. In addition, we're going to give 5 entries to the number 1 person on the leaderboard at the end of the conference. We'll give 4 to the next 5, so 2 through 6, and then we'll give 3 entries to 7 through 10. So in addition to filling out the post-conference survey, you have an opportunity to earn 5 additional entries. So everyone strive to be that top spot on the leaderboard. You can do that by interacting with people, by attending sessions. Really should be a fun way to gamify this conference a little bit. So last year, we heard pretty loud and clear that the biggest concern that everyone had about us moving the conference to virtual as opposed to our historical in-person conference was the lack of opportunities to network. And that's one of the things that we've loved most about Bacon over the years is being able to see each of you, being able to interact with each of you. So one of the big drivers of us moving the platform to Whova this year is to allow for that, allow opportunities to network. You'll find a lot of these in your community area of the app. So if you're on your computer or on your phone, you can go into the community area to check out ways to interact with others. But we've also provided some scheduled networking opportunities. So today we'll have a networking lunch that'll work like a round robin. You come in, you have an opportunity to meet with different people, you're put into a group. I believe we shift groups every 10 minutes, so be sure to be on time or you're not going to be in that first session and you'll be waiting for the next one to start. And then at 4:30, after today's sessions, but prior to tonight's fun activities, we have Bacon Hangouts. These are, again, opportunities to meet with each other, to hang out, to talk to one another, bring any topics that you want, whether it's related to your favorite sports team or related to data and analytics. And then starting at 6 o'clock Eastern tonight, we're going to be having our Bacon after party events. So hopefully this will provide another opportunity to interact with your peers and us prior to calling it a day and heading home. Tomorrow morning, we will have our final opportunity for these scheduled events, which is our Speed Networking Cafe. This might actually be the one that rotates every 10 minutes, but we'll see. We can definitely learn more about those within the community. So we also have some opportunities to come and talk to our team and get free consulting. For many of you, you've loved this in years past. You've been able to schedule times to come and talk to our experts and really ask your questions. It could be a problem that you have within Cognos right now. It could be a problem that you have setting up cloud. It could just be general, I'm planning a migration and I don't know what I should be thinking about. No question is off limits. Schedule some time. You can grab those 15-minute sessions. They're still available at bacon.pmsquare.com. I believe our very own Cognos Paul is going to be hosting the first one right later this morning. So if you've not had a chance to go sign up yet, go grab a time with one of our experts and see if you can learn a little something during this conference. But yeah, really hope you guys take advantage of this. It's something that I know we love to provide. Tomorrow, I want to highlight one of our sessions. We're going to be having a Stump the Experts, or I've always called Stump the Chumps, PMsquare Roundtable. Again, this is an opportunity to ask any question that you'd like. You can post those questions now within the community area underneath Stump the Experts. These are our experts. You'll see that we have a wide range of expertise here, everything from planning analytics to Cognos analytics to cloud to data architecture. So really any question that you have, please bring it forward. We're looking forward to tomorrow to hear from these great roundtable participants. Final bit of our, I guess, logistics is that we are in this new app. So I want to give a quick overview of what you can do within Whova, just so you know where to go. Your Q&A session is going to give you an opportunity to ask questions and get answers. The agenda, which you'll see on the upper right there, that's where you can actually go and set your schedule. And when you're going through the different tracks, you can filter those, you can sort those. You can see each session has a track tag to it, so you can know which track you're in if you're signing up for one, and build your session for the next couple of days, or build your agenda for the next couple of days. The attendees area, you can go and look for people, maybe find a colleague that you haven't talked to in a while or a former colleague, find one of us, start conversations and chats. The community area is all of those opportunities for networking. And really, we just want you to enjoy this app, enjoy these next few days, and hopefully feel like you're actually having more opportunity to interact with us and not just attending a webinar. So with that, those are our logistics. We're going to jump over to our keynote. Our keynote presentation today is going to be provided by Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas is the Senior Vice President for Global Markets at IBM, someone that I've had the pleasure of knowing now for a while, really since he was previously in a role leading data and analytics for IBM. So really excited for this presentation. Prior to the presentation, I want to set the stage a little bit with the technical side of why we're doing Bacon and really what we're focusing on this year. And really, hopefully that leads into Rob's keynote and some of the things that he'll be talking about. So a bit about Rob before I go into that. So Rob's actually been with IBM now for over 20 years. He joined in 1999, and as I mentioned a moment ago, he was previously the GM of IBM Data and Watson AI. So anyone who has been in this space for a while has probably heard Rob's name, has probably interacted with Rob or some of Rob's team. And he really, what I love about this is that he's got this background in data, he's got this background in Watson and AI, but he's been elevated within IBM. So now we have an advocate for the things that matter to us within IBM's upper echelon of leadership, which is really exciting to me. Rob is a published author. He's written a couple of books now, really around technology in the workplace. He's an avid blogger, so his blog is out there at Rob D. Thomas. I'd imagine that it's hard to get robthomas.com these days, but robdthomas.com. Very great blog. I've read a lot of the articles on there myself, and just a great writer, great thought leader. Highly encourage everyone to take a look. And then another thing that I think he'd probably say he's most proud of is he's an active volunteer at Filling in the Blanks, an organization near his hometown up in Connecticut. I believe his wife's on the board for this organization, and it's really focused on feeding the hungry, feeding hungry children, and specifically. Rob himself is based in New Canaan, Connecticut, with his wife, and they also have 3 lovely children. So let me set the stage a little bit for the theme. When we were setting out to say what's going to be the theme of Bacon 2021, it took a lot of effort. We talked amongst our technical teams, we talked amongst our marketing team, and we came together. And typically when you see a theme, we would all agree, like, it's marketing fluff. But what I'm really excited about is that this theme sounds like marketing fluff. It's a very clever, catchy theme, but hopefully you see the theme radiate throughout the conference. And really it's focused on some of the key drivers of data and analytics, according to the experts, according to the different analysts in the space. So the theme this year is maximize value, minimize time to insight, and leverage cloud. So what do these things mean? I'll give a brief overview before we jump into our keynote. For maximize value, I'm going to throw a few numbers up on the screen, and these numbers don't really mean anything yet. If I was really wanting to show maximize, I'd probably go from the smallest number to the largest. But what I really want to focus on is the fact that companies that focus on data-driven companies, these numbers are meaningful to them. So this is based on studies that have been done in the last 12 to 24 months. According to entrepreneur.com, data-driven companies have a 10% decrease in overall company costs. So imagine that for a minute. If you're able within your organization to drive down overall company costs by 10% via your access to better data. They also have an 8% increase in overall company profits. Again, imagine how transformative that could be for your organization. And the one that I'm probably most impressed with and makes me very happy to say that we pride ourselves in thinking we're a data-driven company, and we also help many of our clients become data-driven companies, is that the 23 there is not 23%, it's, I guess, 2,300%, because data-driven companies are 23 times more likely to acquire new customers, according to Forbes.com. So this is huge if you think about where's the value of data, how can you maximize that value? It's really about allowing your organization to have access to the data that they need. It goes a little bit beyond that, though. So it's not just about access. I think we all know that data's been around forever, and if 20 years ago, if you wanted a project, you could spend 19 months and get to the data that you wanted. Now it's also about the next point, which is minimizing time to insight. So time to insight is a term that I believe Microsoft actually coined back in the 90s. And this is the definition of that. It's defined as elapsed calendar time between a question being asked and the answer understood well enough for action to be taken. So if you think about that, it makes sense. What we're really trying to drive with time to insight is how quickly can we get to an answer from a question first being asked, and then be able to take an action from that answer. So it's not just a matter of, did revenues go up? Yes, but those are easy questions to answer. But why did revenues go up? Being able to understand why, and then maybe take action to make them go up more. Or why did revenues go down? Being able to understand why, and then take an action that actually drives a better outcome. So what we've seen with some of the recent trends is that TDWI's 2021 trends, they actually do 3 trends each year, similar to Gartner, how Gartner does, I believe, 10. TDWI's number 2 trend was investing in data transformation to accelerate analytics-ready insights. So it's all about being able to do faster data transformations to get to the data that you need, not just to have that data faster, but to be able to drive faster analytics. So it's all about accelerating those analytics insights, being able to make decisions. What's really cool about this is that within TDWI's, I guess, write-up about trend number 2, they talk about bringing data to the cloud, which is really an overall theme for our conference, which is bringing data to the cloud. Like, how do we do all of this, data and analytics, with a cloud-first mentality? Another thing that I'll look at for Minimize Insights, we've got a few more numbers here. 45% of companies say that they spend their time wrangling data. So 45% of an analyst's time is wrangling data. If you think about, again, 10, 15, 20 years ago, analysts wanted access to data. They would have to wait on IT for 6 to 19 months, 6 to 2 years to get to the data that they needed. So they were not getting quick time to insights. Now, those same analysts are getting to the data faster, but they're spending a ton of their time to get the data that they need, and the data may not be right. And 97% of enterprises are actually looking for a way to speed up data, according to TDWI. So time to insight is a key value add for your organization, and one that we're going to talk a lot about during this conference. Finally, let's jump into that final point, leverage cloud. So really, leveraging cloud is about taking what you're doing today for data and analytics and putting it into the cloud to take advantage of the benefits of the cloud. Those benefits are speed, being able to bring environments closer to your users, and being able to do things that maybe you couldn't necessarily do in an on-premise environment. So some things that you might bring to cloud, your data transformation. So again, TDWI said within trend number 2, data transformation on cloud is going to be one of the main trends of 2021. Like, one of their top 3 trends is moving your data transformation onto cloud. So once you've transformed that data, what do you do with it? The other big kind of hot topic this year is the data lakehouse. So if anyone doesn't know this term, data lakehouse is basically a combination of what we saw 20 years ago, the data warehouse, and what we saw try to take form maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the data lake. What we found with the data lake was that it was really, really valuable for data scientists who wanted to just get raw data, do whatever they want with it, analyze it, but it wasn't very valuable for business users because the data was so raw that it led to business users needing 45% of their time to be spent understanding that data or transforming that data again to a usable format. So the data lakehouse is basically taking both concepts and combining them. A lakehouse would be a process where you bring in your raw data, yes, similar to a data lake, but then you have different areas of your lakehouse for different business use cases. So you might have your data scientist area where the data is more raw, maybe somewhat organized. You might have your business analyst area where the data is formatted, maybe organized slightly, but it's really meant to get there quickly. It's all about the speed of getting access to that data. And then you might have your more traditional, high performance, highly reliable, trusted data that you would use for external reporting or anything that's more regulated. So then the last piece that we'll talk about moving up to the cloud is your analytics. Again, having all of these things in the cloud, you're going to see better performance, you're going to see lower costs. And leading into what I know Rob's going to be talking about today, if you are doing any of these things in cloud, you could be doing multiple. And if you're doing multiple, it's very likely you're not on a single cloud. Even if you don't know it, you're probably on multiple clouds. So the concept of hybrid cloud is really having a centralized management system that holds all of your different cloud environments and organizes them and manages them in a single place. So with that, hopefully that's a good overview of what we'll be going through the next couple of days. I'm going to turn things over to Rob, and Rob, really looking forward to seeing your presentation. Be sure to stick around afterward because we will have Q&A with some members of Rob's team. So thanks, everyone.
Hello, Rob Thomas here with IBM. I want to thank the PMsquare team for this opportunity to speak at BACon, or the more aptly named Bacon. What an amazing name and an amazing conference. This is one of the premier business analytics events in the country. I think you know that if you're watching. This is a great chance for me to talk to you a little about what I'm seeing in the market. Also going to share some of the great work that PMsquare is doing, and hopefully this can be a really good discussion. I look forward to any Q&A ongoing. You can always find me on Twitter. Would love to hear from you. First of all, I want to set this up with a couple questions. Number one, do you believe that every company in the world is going to choose a single public cloud and move all of their technology to that one cloud? Yes or no? Do you believe that? Second is, do you believe AI will forever change what we do in business? So two questions. The first one, my view on the first one is a definite no. I don't see every company in the world choosing a single public cloud provider. And the minute that you believe that's not the case, then you're into the world of hybrid cloud. That's why you hear us talking about this as a company. We've been talking about it longer than anybody else. Now everybody else is starting to talk about it. And I think that's the realization that public cloud is a critical part of how you deliver and consume technology. But the notion that everything's going to be in a single public cloud is just not playing out. So number one, I'd say the answer is no. And therefore, you believe in hybrid cloud if you agree with my answer. Number two, I would say is yes. I do believe that AI will forever change how we run businesses. We've seen early signs of that. The signs are growing. The adoption is growing. Adoption is now pushing 20-25% of what I've seen. So I believe that will absolutely happen. So what I'm going to do as part of this session is really kind of dive into some different areas for how do I see cloud playing out in a hybrid world that I talked about. How do I see AI actually coming to the forefront in different businesses? And then we'll kind of come back around to this. So first of all, let's talk about the digital shift that's happened. Probably not a surprise to anybody at this point, but what we've witnessed in the last year, we'll probably never witness again. It was what was going to happen anyway, but 10 years got collapsed into 1 year. And now everybody's kind of woken up and said, this is no longer something I can just think about for the future. I have to be serious about digitizing my business now. And both hybrid cloud and AI are, part of the toolkit, if you will, for how you do that. When COVID first hit, we saw clients working with partners like PMsquare that were going live on products like Planning Analytics and products like Watson Assistant in less than 30 days. That just shows you that all it took was the need to digitize. Because before, many of those projects were, hey, we're going to think about this for 90 days, then we might build a 90-day implementation plan, and then we might be a little bit late. But the minute that need, that imperative for digitization existed, everybody could do it. And it happened incredibly fast. We're talking weeks. The outlier were the projects that were a month. So I'd say that's forever changed, because even now that we don't have, I'd say, that pending impetus where we had to do something, now that everybody knows it's possible, I think you should all expect as consumers of technology that the default is quick, easy, and then you iterate and build on that. I think that's now the default. what are the different levers that you can pull for digital advantage? Because I think this term digitization is used, it's thrown around so commonly that I'm not sure everybody really understands what that means. In my view, it actually is four things. Number one is it's about automation. Can you automate your business processes? Can you automate your IT operations? This whole notion of AI ops. Can you automate the tasks that you don't really want to do in the first place, but today you have to do? An example would be something like data quality, master data. These are hard tasks. People put like hundreds of people working on this. If you can use technology and AI to do that and automate that, why would you not automate some of that difficult, gorpy work so that you can focus on higher value things? Of course, people will do that. So one big part of digital advantage is automation. Second is data. Look, it's been said over and over again, whether it's data is the new oil, or as I like to say, there's no AI without IA, meaning information architecture. You have to understand the whole architecture of your data if you want to do AI. The data imperative is clear. What has changed here, even in the last year, is this notion of a data fabric, which is companies are starting to see data locked up in a bunch of silos or sitting on a bunch of different clouds is not really helpful to me, because I have different things I need depending on the job to be done. The idea of a data fabric is about how do you integrate that, virtualize that into a single data source, data fabric. I'd say that's the second aspect of digital advantage. Third is about being risk aware and secure. On one hand, it goes without saying. On the other hand, you can't do anything in automation or data or application modernization if security and zero trust is not at the heart of what you're doing. We live in a scary world. There are ransomware attacks. There are threats coming from every angle. So this notion of how you gain insights on threats, how you orchestrate and respond from endpoint to data center to cloud, that's a critical part of how you have to think about digital. And then fourthly, it's about modernization. And modernization is the idea that I have existing applications and data sources that I rely on today. I want to make them more accessible, easier to use. I want them available wherever somebody may want them, whether that's on an edge device, on a mobile device, on a public cloud, on a private cloud, wherever it may be. Application modernization is all about making technology accessible to your employees, to your customers, to your partners, to your supply chain, you name it. These are the four critical levers of digital advantage. I'm not saying you need to do all of them, but if you're not thinking about all of them and have a plan for how you would phase these in, then I would assert that you're probably going to miss this wave of digitization, because digitization is not real without automation, without data, without security, and without modernization. That's how I would define it. This is our strategy in IBM. I talked about hybrid cloud, and I talked about AI. AI is about bringing to life each of the aspects I just described: automation, security, modernization, and making predictions with data, so that you can deliver different use cases. Customer care is a great example of automation using AI. Financial operations and planning, a big part of PMsquare business today, that is about using AI to collect data, organize data, and then run your financial processes using that data. Good example of digitization. Employee experience, this is the other side of the coin on customer care, which is how do I serve my employees using AI, using technology. Risk and compliance, obviously critical for anybody in a regulated industry, is a key use case for delivering this. And then lastly, which I talked about before, is IT operations or AI ops. So you've got these levers of digital advantage on the left side. On the right side, you've got use cases that bring these to life. And in the middle, this is what IBM delivers. We deliver the transformation expertise. We deliver the technology platform to help you integrate AI on a hybrid cloud platform. And this is why you see clients and partners of IBM like Schlumberger, who are now bringing this in and bringing it to life in their organization today. You see companies like CVS, who are using this to drive the COVID vaccine rollout. Companies like PayPal that are now using IBM AI technology on hybrid cloud to drive their customer service. These are sometimes different kind of names that are leveraging IBM technology. Hopefully it shows you that something unique, something different is happening at IBM, and it all starts with innovation and then the expertise to bring it to life. Now, the other thing that's changed is our view on ecosystem. I'd say for a long time, we thought we could do whatever the client needed. And what's really changed in this world, certainly when you look at speed of delivery, is it's no longer about can you provide everything? It's about are you differentiated in what you provide? And then can you easily integrate and work with others so that every client has best of breed capabilities. An announcement that surprised some people was when we partnered with Palantir to deliver their low-code, no-code environment on top of Cloud Pak for Data. That was the whole idea of bringing this data fabric to life with a low-code, no-code environment. We could have never done that ourselves, but with Palantir, we could do that. You see partnerships like what we do with PMsquare, who are building solutions and assets around IBM technology, and sometimes integrating third-party technology to deliver value for their clients. And then you see us partnering with global systems integrators, whether it's Deloitte or Accenture, and this is about delivering technology to their transformation capabilities. And obviously we have IBM GBS as well to deliver services. This is a new era in IBM. It's about technology, and it's about transformation, and it's about ecosystem, and they are all equally important. Just a few examples, again, to bring this to life. I shared some before, but this just shows you that when you think about these different levers of digital advantage, this is not in one market. This is not in one industry. This is about every company thinking about how they will be relevant going forward in the future. Whether it's Guidewell, that's using a data fabric from IBM to unify data from providers and payers into this single data fabric. Wunderman Thompson building data science models on top of a data fabric to deliver more unique offers to their clients. PNC Bank using automation as part of their application modernization. We're able to assess which applications should be containerized, which ones should move to public cloud, which ones should stay where they are. TD Ameritrade, again, 70% reduction in the time it takes to open new accounts because of automation. What used to be a bunch of manual processes is now done instantly with AI. The examples just keep going. In security, TalkTalk, 8x faster response time to threats. That's incredible. That is the difference between having a security problem and no problem at all. Think about that. And when you think about modernization, there are great examples like Etihad and Telefonica who are doing application modernization because they realize that the world is hybrid. They're going to be on private cloud. They're going to be on premise. They're going to have multiple public cloud providers. That requires an intelligent application modernization strategy. This is just to give you some inspiration, some examples to think about. I've seen the PMsquare implement, I think, nearly all of these as I eyeball this list. This is something that you can do today. And back to where I started, this is not a multi-year project. You should be thinking in terms of 30 days. How do I get a minimum viable product in that short of a time frame? AI has the power to transform everything that you do as a company. You may look at that and say, hey, that's just a tagline. But I want you to think about it a little differently. There's a lot of discussion, hey, AI is going to take jobs. I would say it differently. AI is not going to replace managers, but managers that use AI will replace the managers that do not. Think about that. If you are aggressively adopting AI, giving yourself and your company superpowers, you're going to be successful. And you are going to leapfrog all of your competitors and everybody else that's in a role like you, because AI can give you superpowers. Somebody asked the other day, hey, what should I do to get promoted? I said, the best thing you can do to get promoted is to use AI, because a lot of people are scared of it or not doing something. And if you're willing to take that step, get deep into understanding the technology, put it into operation in your business, like many of the examples I described, this is going to change the careers of people, not to mention the businesses that they are part of. And you can see this. As we look at companies around the world, I gave you some few examples. It is starting to happen. I said adoption's moving towards 20%. Sometimes I see 25. Survey we did said it was pushing 30%. Don't know exactly what it is, but let's agree. Whether it's 20, 25, 30, 35, that's still pretty low. For something that's going to forever change industries and businesses, less than a third adoption is not super impressive. So what I would say is now is the time. Technology's never been more available. Skills have never been more accessible. And you're not behind yet. I'll say that again. You're not behind yet, but you might be behind at the next Bacon conference. So now is the time to start to think about how do you do something to prevent falling from behind. Our focus in AI, I'd say, has gotten very simple and directed over the last few years. We believe we can provide great AI for businesses. We're not focused on consumer AI. We're not focused on image recognition. We're not focused on social media. We're focused on AI for businesses. And if you think about the key capabilities of AI for business, it's language, it's automation, it's trust. It's that simple. 3 things, and it needs to be able to run anywhere. Language, this is, the technical term would be natural language processing. Can you understand text, your documents, all of your data as an organization? Recent IDC studies said still 90% of data is unused or underutilized. Mastering NLP is one of the secrets to unlocking that. IBM Watson has the best natural language processing. It's the technology behind Project Debater, the system that was building, that was able to debate humans. We had the best NLP. Just try it. I think you'll be pleased. Automation, I talked a good bit about this, whether it's automating tasks or IT or business processes. Trust, we should never forget. And I'd say while we've had products in the market for a couple years, this has just become mission critical, which is when you have AI in production, how do you know that you can trust the decisions being made? Can you monitor for AI bias? Can you provide explainability to a regulator? Do you understand data provenance, where data came from? That's all in this domain of trust. So look, that's where we're focused. IBM Watson is about language, automation, trust. It runs anywhere, but we also work with AI partners around the world. We're not trying to provide everything. We've decided where we think we can be differentiated, and those are the areas. Part of our strategy relative to AI, once we decided to bet on those critical capabilities I described, it was about how do we now infuse this in every part of our software. So today you can see it inside of Maximo and Sterling. You can see it inside of Planning Analytics. It's in Watson AI Ops. It's in Watson Assistance. It's in our business around financial crimes insights. Everything we do from a data science and explainability perspective is inside of Cloud Pak for Data. We're now using natural language processing in Cognos Analytics, in Watson Discovery. AI has become, it's not just a destination as a product, but it's an ingredient across how we're building technology. All of this runs on the hybrid cloud platform, which is Red Hat OpenShift. What are the challenges you're going to face? So anybody watching this, if you decide, I don't want to be behind, I'm going to take the steps to go do this, you're going to face some challenges because everybody does. Three most common challenges: data, skills, trust. On data, you start your AI project, you realize my data is not very accessible, I don't have a data fabric, I don't have the data governance I need. That is a common problem. AI can actually help you solve that problem easier than you could in the past. The next one is skills. There is still a big skills deficit in the market. Now, the skills in the market are dramatically better than they were even 3 years ago. But there's still a deficit, meaning there's not enough skills anywhere for this. So you have to think about, not only do I have the right partners, whether it's PMsquare or IBM or any of the partners in our ecosystem, or I'd say, or how are you going to train your own employees to build these skills in data science, in Python, Jupyter notebooks, the different capabilities that are required. And thirdly, it's going to be about trust. Somebody in your organization is going to say, hey, I'm scared by this. We can't trust this. We don't know how it's making decisions. Don't let that be an obstacle. The technology exists today to refute the trust concern. Now, it is a concern if you don't do anything, but the technology exists to where trust doesn't have to be a concern as long as you utilize the technology. On a single page, this is how IBM is delivering technology and transformation. Starts at the top with transformation, whether it's IBM services or services from our systems integrator partners. Then you go to software. It's IBM Cloud Paks that deliver capabilities around automation, networking, security, data, integration, all the things that we talked about, modernization. We've also got software partners who are building on our platform. We integrate with their technology. We've got Red Hat as the only open hybrid cloud platform that runs multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, any public cloud, any private cloud, any data center. And then in terms of infrastructure, we deliver on IBM Cloud. We deliver on AWS and Azure. We deliver on IBM systems. We deliver on enterprise infrastructure. And we deliver on edge devices. So it's very simple. The technology is available wherever you want to run it. I want to now bring us back to where we started. This is about your decision to lead in this area of digital reinvention. I'll go back to the two questions I started with. I asked, do you believe all your technology will be in a single public cloud? If the answer is no, I believe the answer is no. If the answer is no, you need hybrid cloud. That's one input into how you think about digital reinvention. Secondly, is do you believe AI will change industries and change businesses like no technology ever has before? I certainly believe the answer is yes. Hopefully the examples I shared with you brought that to life a bit. But you need to think about your answer to those questions. And if you see the world the way I do, and you are compelled to do something in terms of digital reinvention, now is the time to think about. Are you going to start with automation? You can start with data, security, or modernization. Those are the four levers that you can pull at any time. I think those are the right places to start. That's where we've seen the most success working with PMsquare and other partners and many clients all around the globe. I want to wish you best of luck in this journey. I want to thank PMsquare for inviting me to the Bacon Conference. It's been amazing to have this opportunity to be with all of you. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from you all. Thank you for the time.
Oh, that was great. Really excited to hear some of the questions that people are having. So joining me today are Brian McGough, Cass Atanapola, close I hope, and Mike McGeehan. I will let each of you guys give a quick introduction for yourselves, and then I know we've already had some questions pouring in, so I will ask those questions for you.
Great. Hi, guys. It's Brian McGough. I work in the AI applications and solutions space, and thanks for having us today. I look forward to answering your questions.
Excellent.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Mike McGeehan. I lead the product management team for planning analytics inside data and AI.
Awesome. Good morning, good afternoon. Cass Atanapola, product management for Cognizant Analytics.
Excellent. Welcome, everyone. All right, so I know we had some questions. Let's see which one pops up for us first for us here. All right, when will we be able to include our own corporate ontology in IBM AI? Who wants to take it?
So I guess we could, all three are qualified for that one. I think as we look at it as infused in AI apps, maybe we can answer it, break it down in pieces. So Kaz, I don't know if you want to approach it from a kind of a BI platform perspective first, and then Mike, maybe you could talk about it from an AI infused budget planning forecast or XBA standpoint. Might give it a richer way to answer it.
Sure. We can touch on this. I'm going to touch on these later in the Cognizant Analytics roadmap section. But essentially what we have is a roadmap item called Semantic Concepts. This is where you can go in and sort of define your language of your business, basically. Define the hierarchies, the parent-child relationships, what have you, and basically go in and define those ontologies at a Cognos platform level. And then, of course, once you define it once, it applies across all data sources, and you'll be able to. And then, again, once you do that, you can have all the downstream impacts, with NLG, with the assistant, just smarter visualizations and so on. And just quicker answers and smarter and faster answers to your questions. And the idea is you define it once, it applies across all data sources. So yes, at a Cognos level, this is a roadmap item.
Excellent.
So from a planning perspective, we have a couple things we're working on in this particular area. One of which is we leverage a lot of the same technologies that come out of the Cognos team. So what Kaz referred to is going to flow to planning analytics as well. We also have integrations to a couple of other, I call them the big IBM AI capabilities, Watson Studio and decision optimization. So as you can include some of these the concepts into Watson Studio, they flow to planning analytics as well. So we've tried to approach this from the perspective of where does that ontology need to live? And generally when we're talking to our clients and where people are headed relative to using for planning and XP&A, as Brian referred to it, we see that really happening on the Watson Studio side. We also have some things we're doing inside our forecasting. So there's a couple of places that's coming in. It's there now, and we're evolving it pretty rapidly, actually. You'll see a couple of big things coming later this year on the planning analytics side relative to Watson Studio integration. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and I think those are actually three really good examples. So think about how IBM's building this portfolio of AI-infused applications to sit on our data fabric or the Cloud Pak platform. Those are two good, or actually with the Watson Studio, three good examples of how that AI infusion will incorporate your use of your own ontologies, your corporate ontologies.
Excellent. All right. Next question. When will AI work with dimensional sources such as an IBM Planning Analytics Cube?
So I guess I should probably take that one first. So we already support some of that capability today with some of the work that's been done on the Cognos team. Again, we share the same, I'll call it infrastructure that does a lot of this work. So we've done some of that already. So we do support dimensional sources if you're using planning analytics as the server inside Cognos Analytics. We're also including some of the AI forecasting capability. So we haven't really exposed the NLG capability. That's something that's coming probably in 22 relative to Plan Analytics Workspace. I have to remember not to talk in acronyms. I work at a company that is an acronym. So when you're talking in Workspace, we have some capabilities. We really want to expand that as well. So we already support the dimensional construct relative to the smarts, but it's really expanding that use in a couple of directions. One of them in the ability in workspace, and then along with some of the work we have going on in forecasting. So we do support it now. You'll see expansion. One of the things is it really helps on the Cognos side if you're using PM1 as the actual data source. Kaz, I don't know if you want to expand on that either.
Yeah, no, you pretty much covered it all. So with 11.2.0, we expanded our expanded support for our AI capabilities to OLAP cubes as well, which includes, TM1 cubes. So you could use the assistant, leverage conversational analytics against OLAP sources like IBM TM1 or planning sources or planning cubes. And also use forecasting, for example, like Mike mentioned. And of course, there's a couple of visualizations like the relationship chart that isn't still supported with OLAP sources, but we're going to cover those gaps. But for the most part, the assistant, the forecasting, and everything else works. So we're just going to cover those remaining gaps over the next couple of releases.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, where does RPA fit in the AI discussion? So RPA, robotic process automation, for any viewers that are not familiar with that acronym.
Maybe how about if I go first on this one, and we'll let the other guys jump in. I think of RPA as an unintended or unattended automation process typically, and I think that AI is going to enhance RPA by giving it better structured inputs or creating a more exacting logic based on its ability to capture all the unstructured information that could enhance the models that we use to feed RPA. I mean, I think that's one area. And I also think as we look at RPA integration with things like control towers for supply chain and in manufacturing, I think those the data inputs gathered along those processes are going to absolutely feed or enhance or increase the signal in better AI models overall. So that's the relationship as I see it. I don't know if Kaz and Mike have something else they want to give an example with regards to the products.
So I'll jump in if it's okay. First, we do get I'll say this comes up pretty regularly with our clients and prospective clients who in everything in finance. There's a lot of what I consider rote work. You probably see the degrees behind me. I'm an accountant by profession. So it's one of the things that there's a lot of rote work. I think there's a lot of things we can do relative to, as Brian said, using the AI structure to improve, to automate the robotic process automation. Because there's all the, I call it fuzzy logic that you need to do when you're doing a lot of the things that are very rote. Somebody's looking at something, they realize that Smith and Smiths are the same thing. When you get some of the AI capabilities wired in, that can really help improve that. So it helps the whole planning process, the analysis process. There's a whole series of things that can help there. And obviously IBM has an RPA solution. So one of the things we're looking at.
Excellent. All right. Okay, it's a long one. All right, the fiasco of Microsoft's Tay chatbot has shown that people will try to abuse or confuse AI. Will AI be able to detect and handle fraudulent or malicious inputs? Maybe specific if IBM's AI will be able to, or if we think in general.
I think it'll. Yeah, I mean, on that area, I think it'll have to. Right. I mean, absolutely. There's been a lot of articles, even in the last, between June and now this year, I've seen a variety of different articles written about this, as well as, will AI, have, how bias will be detected and prevented in those things. And I think it all falls into that same category of mitigating the risks of those things. And I know for a fact in our models, I mean, in talking with the teams and the product management, the offering management teams there, they've are well aware of those risks and have built some of that into the structure of how it's built. I don't know if you, Mike, have it.
Yeah, no, I mean, somewhat related to this is something we're working on in the roadmap. Again, might not be necessarily related to fraudulent or malicious inputs, but at the same time, we need to address the AI learning wrong behavior. So as part of our roadmap, again, we'll have a presentation on this later in the afternoon. We are going to introduce a system where you can assign the AI in the system to learn from subject matter experts or from best of breed exemplars. right? So when you're learning, visualizations, what type of visualizations to recommend, what type of data sources to go get to create that answer for you, the type of formatting, what have you, the type of titles to choose, and so on later down the line in our roadmap. We want to learn from best of breed exemplars and SMEs, so the AI in the system can again perform to the best of its abilities, versus learning some of these wrong behaviors from users who might not be experts in data visualizations or BI. So again, this was an idea that one of our customers brought forward that we've sort of infused into our roadmap. But again, somewhat related to this is teaching the right behavior to the AI in the system and to help it learn from best of breed exemplars.
Yeah, on the planning side, we've been doing a couple of things in this area. So I think we've all, my team is certainly aware that there are bad actors in the world. You just kind of have to deal with it. So whenever you introduce technology, there's the opportunity for abuse. But we've heard from our clients relative to even the forecast, and it's only been in market for, I'll say 8-9 months now for inside Plan Analytics. Our clients asked us to improve the understandability of what the forecast is doing. And that's one of the things we've done very quickly. I call it a fast follow. We've really improved that. So that an end user doesn't need to be a stats, really deep statistical knowledge. I took stats in university. It was a long time ago. I remember a little bit. So really explaining it in a better way. But also, how can we, with the things we're doing around multivariates and additional forecasting capability, allow the user to have more the ability to understand and then adjust, do I want this or do I not want that? And then we're going to include in our roadmap, following on what the Cognos team is doing, let's bring that feedback back in to improve the AI. So if the forecast is always a little too high, or I'll use a sales example for Brian, it's always a little sandbagged. So how do we improve that a little bit? So those are the types of things we're trying to feed back into the forecasting algorithm beyond the things we're doing today.
Excellent. All right. I don't see any other questions popping in. So just a reminder, if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to type them into the question area inside the app. We'll give it a couple seconds, and I'll maybe, while we're doing that, see if Brian, Cass, or Mike have any parting thoughts they want to share before we wrap up.
I think everybody, Rob and yourself, Dustin, as you opened up the day, I think you all made great points. The things that, I think that looking at platforms and partnerships and, I thought one of the last points Rob made is don't look at all these things as marathons, look at them as sprints, that based on the technology that's been developed over the last 2 years, these things can be implemented a lot faster than maybe people are thinking when they hear about, AI and automation and things like RPA and those sort of things. It's not monolithic efforts that it could be.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on exactly what you said, Brian. We've seen our clients with the forecasting capability we've brought out recently. They're trying it. They're providing us feedback quickly. We're getting that into the product. With Plan Analytics, we release every month, so we can improve. Think about continuous improvement, not I've got to have the perfect solution. It'll take 5 years to build the perfect solution. I'm a huge believer in crawl, walk, run. Crawl a little bit, improve, then you can walk and just continue that. Continuous improvement is a way better solution, and you get better value.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all for being here with us, Mike, Cass, and Brian. Few final logistics items to talk through going into the next sessions. So everyone try to be back in 10 minutes. We're going to be starting our next round of sessions. So these are our first breakouts. If you enjoyed hearing from Brian and would like to ask him additional questions or hear his next topic, he'll be joining me again in the strategy track for business automation and the AI in the post-pandemic economy. Really excited to hear this presentation. It's not one I've heard from Brian before, so I'm pretty excited to hear the content. In our execution track, we have our very own Andrea, who's going to be presenting a beginner's guide to the cloud. And then on our focal point track, our very own Randy will be talking about instant analytics with Incorta Cloud. Another reminder, after those sessions, we are going to have our networking lunch, and our Genius Bar first session is in 30 minutes. So if you've not had a chance to go sign up for a spot in the Genius Bar yet, please remember to do so. But next session start in 10 minutes. Feel free to explore the app, make some friends, check out the community pages, and we will be talking to you all again in one of these tracks in 10 minutes. Thanks, everyone.